Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this next edition of Chat with Spencer, live on Facebook. We're very happy that you've made time for this, either as we're doing it or after the fact. For those of you that are new to this feature, my name is Spencer Bonney. I'm the Executive Director of Achieve Brown County, and we set this up as an opportunity for all of you in Facebook land to better appreciate and understand the work of our organization, Achieve Brown County, through the eyes, ears, and lived experiences of our key stakeholders, our partners, people in the community with whom we work most closely. Today, I am very pleased to introduce Missy Schmeling. She is the Executive Director of one of our longstanding partners, Encompass Early Education and Care. She is also a relatively new board member to Achieve Brown County as well. Despite her newness to our board, she has been working with us as long as we've been working with Encompass Early Education and Care. But as you'll hear shortly, she is also relatively new to her role as the next executive director of Encompass Early Education and Care. So with all that said, Missy, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks, Spencer. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about Encompass and about me and my new role and what that looks like. So again, my name is Missy Schmeling. I am the new executive director for Encompass. I've actually been with Encompass for over almost 27 years in August. So it's not like I'm new to the organization, but I definitely, like I said, I've been around for a while, and true passion and love for early childhood and what that means for children and families in this community. I mean, it's just something that I can't really sometimes even put into words. So appreciate the opportunity and look forward to the chat.
Awesome. And you actually took us right into our very first question for you. My very first question for you. Tell us about you. So I had forgotten that you have been with Encompass for 27 years now. That is a long time to be with any organization. Truly a testament to your commitment and the passion that you just spoke to. Tell us more about you upstream of Encompass. So go back as far as you want, but tell us more about you personally, how you got to where you are at today.
Sure. So I'll share a little bit about my personal family experience. I think that early on, my family really consisted of obviously the nuclear unit, the mom, dad, brother, sister. My mom, though, was always really, really ill. So tried really hard to kind of pull the family together. My dad was a veteran of the Vietnam War, came back from that when we were just little kids, not in a really good space. And so for most of my childhood, that was a really, really rough go. With a father figure and him connecting, that kind of thing. So those are kind of some of my early struggles. They were really rough as a child. So, but what was most important in all that, I think, is the lesson that you learn is that along the way, when you are in grade school or you're in middle school, high school, or even in college, is that you connect or you meet with that one teacher, that one mentor, that one coach, that one somebody, right? That one somebody that makes the difference, all the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I had a couple of those people, and I hope that that's what happens for a lot of people. And then I knew early on that was going to be my future goal, my future lesson in life was to try to figure out a way of how I could better support, impact the youth of the world, really, right? So I think that just trying every day, I try to work on building those relationships, seeing the potential in people. And for those who know me well, will say I'm always trying to push them outside their comfort zone. I really just think that's kind of an important thing to do. So
I totally agree. And those mentors are so important in all of our lives. Like you, I've been blessed to have a couple of mentors that have inspired me to pursue my passions as well. Tell us a little bit more about how you got into the early education or pre-K world, either before Encompass or with Encompass.
Sure. So I went to school, EW Oshkosh, got a bachelor's degree in psychology, took a few early childhood classes. And then when I moved to Green Bay, I met my husband at that time, and he said, "Hey, miss, there is," and we were doing some school age, care at the YMCA. So we kind of met there. The kind of little fun story about that is my husband's parents also met at the Y in the same space that we met. So we kind of go back to how fun story about that. But anyway, we worked with the school age kids primarily, and he was my boss. And he said, "Hey, miss, there is a job available at Encompass. You should go try for it. It's not for me. I tried it. I think that maybe this is a better fit for you. So I went to the Bellin Center on Webster. I had an interview, still remember the interview today. And then I started as a 2-year-old teacher, 12 children in the classroom. Oh, that was quite the feat, working day to day with kids. I mean, a true testament of how important that work is. So I did that for about 3 years, and then I was promoted to a center director for that current center. I stayed in that role for about 10 years. And then I was promoted to the director of agency programs, which is really supervising all of our 7 sites in the area. And I spent about 13 years doing that. And then just most recently in March was promoted to the executive director of Encompass, which I am truly, truly grateful and humble for the opportunity. And I really look forward to the impact that we're going to make and do over the next, several years.
That's awesome. That is quite a story. You and I actually share some commonalities there. My wife and I met at a YMCA camp in northern Wisconsin through the Y as well. It's a great place to meet someone that shares your values, certainly. And obviously it worked out for the two of you, just as it worked out for the two of us as well. So tell us more about Encompass Early Education and Care, its history, the work that it has done in the community, the work that it continues to do in the community. Give us the down low on everything Encompass.
Sure, I'll try to give you a short version. So Encompass has been around in the community for over 100 years. Most people don't know the long depth history that we have. So that is amazing all in itself. We currently serve about 1,300 kids annually, about 700 kids a day. At all of our 7 locations within the Brown County area. So we have one center in Pulaski, one center in West Depeer, and then the rest of them are kind of right in the kind of inner city area of Green Bay. We are profoundly passionate about what we do for kids in early care and education. We're passionate about wrapping our arms around the whole family. We really, really care about the professional development of staff. I think that's just the utmost importance to just kind of include everybody in the mix. Our community partners have, I think, truly set us apart from working in this community in the early education field. And we value and just really come to the table on any opportunity that is available for us. And I think that just speaks volumes to the work that we do. That's so critical, in that birth to 5 years that we talk about, how important that critical, architectural brain development is of the brain, how important the impact of that is in the first 5 years. Most people just don't realize how impactful that is. I think just overall, we Encompass, we want the best for all children, all families, anybody who, wants the opportunity to make a difference in what we think matters.
Encompass is the largest provider of early education in the birth to 5 space in our community, is it not?
I believe so, or at least right up there. There's a couple, I think there's another national chain that provides, a considerable amount of care to families, but yeah, we're definitely up there at the top.
So the reason I'm asking is the influence that your organization has through the number of kids that it serves on a daily basis, and the kind of things that you do with them, the great education and care that you provide is really significant. To your point, there's a lot of critical brain development that happens between the birth to 5 years. I think intuitively we all know that, but to your other point, how much brain development and how important that is something that only, I would guess, a very few of us have a real appreciation, understanding for.
Right. Yeah. We make sure that in our day-to-day, we have a assessment of children that we utilize that really is the minute that they start with us, even at the age of 6 weeks of age, all the way up through age 6. And we do serve kids in school age, but that primary area that we're talking about, we measure progress of kids every day. So we see that every day too, as far as in measurements and data and outcomes, but we also see it in real time. And I think that is another area where we have used our child observation record called our core advantage to really set us apart from maybe telling our story about the importance and the impact of those early years, the critical skills that we teach kids each and every day at Encompass.
Makes sense. I'm going to draw attention to this now and then come back to it in a few minutes later in our conversation. But you made a point about how much Encompass works with its many, many partners throughout the community. As one of your many partners, I can say now that our work with you is critically important. We'll talk about that again in just a moment, but the commitment that you spoke to is really reflective of the relationship that we have with you and your team at Encompass. You have been a fantastic partner to us, as I hope we have been to you, and it's through these kind of partnerships that we're making even better difference in the lives of young people in our community. So again, we'll come back to that in just a moment. We'll talk about the specific things that we're doing together. But I want to turn now to the year and a half that we've all experienced together. So as people watching this know, this is a question that I've asked every guest that I've had, because it's still very much top of mind for all of us. The past 16 months have been unlike any other stretch that I can remember. Certainly relative to the pandemic, the social justice movement. I would say in Encompass's case in particular, the impact of the pandemic on the entire childcare industry. There's been a lot of coverage about that. There's been a lot of advocacy on the part of both of our organizations and others in the industry related to that as well. So I'm wondering if you can simply share with us a couple things. Number one, your insights and perspectives on the impact of the pandemic, the social justice movement, the downturn in the economy, et cetera, on Encompass and the entire childcare industry, but also how you have navigated it. Certainly as Encompass's new executive director, you faced some pretty outsized challenges. So if you could cover both of those things and share with us whatever you're willing, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, we talk about how the pandemic obviously brought early care and education to the forefront, right? A lot of conversation happening in that particular space. We've been talking about this for forever and ever, but now we're just kind of getting a bigger voice, which I think that that's really, really important in this work. I want to speak a little bit to what Encompass did early on when the pandemic started. So I think one of the number one things that we did is we gathered as a team initially, and we just needed to make sure that we knew we were essential workers. We also knew we needed to be essential to the community. So I think that when we looked at that, we knew for sure that we need to prepare to provide care for kids and families in the safest ways possible. And so following all the guidelines and kind of going through all those steps, we worked really hard to team together, to communicate together, to make sure that our staff were doing the frontline work, understood their importance and their value, even though when they were a little bit like, oh, I just don't know about this, right? I'm worried. I'm afraid for my family, for myself. But we knew we had to stay open. So I think the challenges for us were more like opportunities in a way to demonstrate our resilience, our perseverance, our ability to pivot during a time when things were really, really tough. A lot of families, having to drop down in care. Encompass really just supported that. We allowed people to do that and said, hey, that's okay. We're not worried about you paying your tuition during this time. We'll figure it out. So we did do that. And I think that through the course of the last 16 months, I mean, it's gotten obviously way better. But I hope that there's a sense with families and with staff that Encompass tried really, really hard to do its best during the time and stay open. And I think even it's just we learned a lot of lessons during that time. I'd also like to add that our community partners were essential also to our success. So there are a lot of community partnerships out there in the community that contributed, that helped support during the pandemic. And we have to do a big shout out to them, because without them, that too wouldn't have been as successful as we are now. So, and coming out of the pandemic, we're recovering. I mean, we have the same struggles as a lot of businesses do with, hiring and finding people and applicants for the most part. But we know there's a childcare desert out there, and that's something, that you hear a little bit in the media happening. And we're seeing it too. We don't have enough slots available for people that are requesting it. So we know that that's a critical area of need. And we're just going to continue to work on that, but we are recovering well. We're bouncing back pretty well. So, we're excited about that.
Thank you for all of that. There's so much to touch on. I want to touch on three things that you said. First of all, the childcare that exists, not just in the greater Green Bay area, but throughout our state and our country, for that matter. To your point, early on in your response, Encompass, other entities, your partners, our partners at Chebown County even have been advocating for positive changes to the entire system of early education and care for children ages birth to 5 for years now. When the pandemic arrived, it exacerbated, it amplified all of the issues, from the cost of childcare to the lack of employees, to the quality of employees and the care that they provide. You name it, all of those issues rose to the forefront, as you said, and it became that much more challenging to address them. But there was also opportunity in that. I really appreciate how you reframe that. Another thing that I want to touch on is what you said about how Encompass really stepped up. And by Encompass, I know you were speaking to, and I'll call it out now, all of your employees. Despite the fears that we all had about showing up in the way that you all showed up, you all still showed up, and you provided as a safe and welcoming and high quality space for families and young people that really needed it, and that was huge. So props to you and the entire Encompass team for showing up in ways that I can only appreciate from a distance, and honor by just simply saying thank you for that. And then lastly, your point about relying on your partners, we can share the same thing too, as partners to each other, and as partners to some of the same partners that Encompass is partnered with. A lot of partners in that statement there. We had to rely on each other and come together in ways in which we've never come together before. And I think that was one of the really great, not just learnings, but opportunities that came out of the pandemic. I've said to many people, there's never been a better opportunity for collective impact than right now, because of how all of these various entities, our partners, came together in ways that we've never come together before. And Encompass was right in the middle of all of that, which really speaks to the philosophy that you have carried on from your predecessor and her predecessor, and just the way, again, that Encompass continues to show up for the betterment of children and families in our community. So kudos again to you for that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll do a quick shout out. I mean, our internal executive team at the time included, I was in the director of agency programs role, but Sue Vincent was our fearless leader. And she recently retired. She'd been with the organization for over 36 years. So I think that her calmness under pressure, ability to be a visionary thinker, and kind of just taking a pause during a time that was really, really rough, was really, really instrumental in also our success. So I think always having that, it's really the importance of leadership in this particular space, particularly in a pandemic, is critical. So, indeed. I mean, having the right people skills, the communication, the ability to kind of just wait out the storm, you might say, right? So I think that speaks volumes to our, leader before being in Sue Vincent, and then the rest of the team that was a part of all that. So big thanks to them too. Yeah,
for sure. And we can offer our own thanks to Sue too. She was a huge champion of Chebown County, still is. She is also still a member of our board of directors as a community member at large, and we're incredibly grateful for that. But between the two of you and your leadership, Encompass has done some really amazing things over the past number of years, as long as we have been partnered with you, to be sure. So let's look to the future. As you look at the horizon, either in the next 6 months to 12 months or even beyond that, what are you most excited about? What are your top priorities for Encompass moving forward?
Yeah, one of the big top priorities for us is talking about engagement. So a re-energize, just a re-engage on all levels when it comes to relationships with people, whether it's our staff, whether it's our families, whether it's our kids, obviously, that we've been doing really, really well. Re-engaging with the community. I think I'm really looking forward to being present in the community again, like physically present, not the videos. We've learned a lot during the pandemic about how we can pivot and use any type of infrastructure that we need to make like Zoom calls work like this today. So that was super beneficial. But I think just getting back to what we're really, really good at, which is developing relationships with people, whether it's our littles or whether it's our staff, our partners, our board, just really trying to look for opportunities to re-engage. So welcoming an opportunity like this today helps us kind of do that same thing. So get the message out there so that we're not all living in that bubble, but kind of come out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. We're working really hard in that space too.
That's great. That's great. And I would share that same perspective relative to the work we do together. That engagement piece is huge. I think, share your excitement relative to getting out in the community and engaging with it that much more, certainly as we've all been locked down in quarantine, whatever turn of phrase you want to use. There's a desire in all of our parts to reconnect with our people that we serve throughout the community. So I agree, that's going to be huge moving forward, and will hopefully make a big difference for Encompass, as it will for all of us.
Yeah, I'd like to add too, I think that just from a mental health capacity, you're seeing a little bit about that. This too will help our young kids, our school age kids, going back to what that normal, looks like as far as being with people. I mean, we need people. That we're human beings, and it by nature need to connect with people. That's really what we're all about. So
Agreed.
Definitely looking forward to that.
And that's another topic altogether that we don't have time to really dive into here, but the mental health challenges that children and parents have faced over the past 16 months have been pretty significant. So to your point, Encompass through the service programs and services it provides, the care and the comforts that it provides to certainly kids, but also mom and dad and other caregivers, cannot be understated. That's huge. So really great perspective on that. Well, one final big question here, related to Encompass's partnership with Achievebound County. So you, as I mentioned at the start of our conversation today, Missy, have been at the table with us in a number of different ways, as long as Achievebound County has existed. Talk about, from your perspective, the partnership that Encompass has with Achievebound County. Tell us about the work that you have done, the teams that you have been a part of, what you see as some of the biggest wins for Encompass throughout our partnership, both as a team member and now a board member.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that really stands out for me, and I'll speak to the part about me on the team, is the collective work we have done in the early developmental screening area. So really in those first 5 years, trying to really up the game and getting as many people of those young kiddos screened in the early years. And so even though sometimes the process can seem slow, like a slow going, you want to make things happen. I'm one of those people like, I want to that's an idea. Let's just go with it. But particularly, I think the work with Achieve has helped us come together across sectors that we probably hadn't had the opportunity before as often, and as long term, and aligning the values and the goals that are in really good alignment between the partner and with Achieve. I mean, if you're in the same space doing that work, I think you can move mountains, right? It's just going to take a while. That's all.
Totally. Yeah, I would agree. And for the benefit of everybody who's watching, what I think you're referring to is the work of two teams that are very closely tied together. One came out of the other. So the first one that's been in existence now for almost as long as Achievebound County has been in existence is our developmental screening and care team that's been partnering with Encompass, the county's Birth to 3 program, the 3 healthcare systems, to develop and implement a standardized system of screening using the ages and stages questionnaire, which I know you know a lot about, right, Missy, and we've made significant progress together there. When we started, I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we were barely scratching the surface of the number of young people that could be screened, less than 2,000. And now we are annually screening over 5,000 young people. That's a huge leap. There's many more that we need to be screening, but because of how Encompass was at the table with those other entities, we've been able to really transform how that system works and serves the needs of those young people in the hopes of helping them stay on track or get on track to being ready for kindergarten. So that's been huge. And then the other team is our community online ASQ screening team, which has been focused on taking this paper-based system. So these assessments have all been paper-based to this point, at least how they're shared with the different entities, and how then they are leveraged to ensure that young people are receiving the right care and support that they need to get ready for kindergarten, to an online platform, one that everybody has access to in real time. It makes it so much easier for all of the entities that are providing that care to have the information that they need to provide the very best care at their fingertips. So again, to your point, through Encompass's great partnership, we've been able to make significant progress in both teams over the past few years.
Absolutely. I'd like to add on. So early on, when I was talking about how the process can be slow to go, early on, somewhere in the middle, we decided we were doing paper-based HS screenings too, but we decided that at some point we wanted to do this online portal became available. I'm like, we should do that. Encompass wants to be the forerunner and the pilot of doing that. So we secured some funds to be able to onboard that program. And so we've been doing it since beginning of 2018, doing in the web-based version. We're still working on the kinks on that. But I think that what we're able to do also with that is, because we were a little bit of a pilot, you could kind of share that with the team, and the team could be like, yep, I can see how this could be possible. And I think the second outcome of that is, I mean, the number one goal is to screen kids, right? To get intervention as early as you can possible. So we know as teachers and educators that we can do that if we see the kids, if we have the kids in care. But it's reaching all those kids also that aren't in care to have an access point to be able to get that screening. And then secondly, I'd just like to say the impact, the stories that we have seen for when the shift of the information shifts, not just from us as educators and teachers, but also shifts to the family. So when the family has that information at their fingertips on their phone, because it's all electronic, they can speak and advocate for their own child at the doctor's office, at a school district, wherever it is that they enter a space that they might need some support. So I think that has been critical when it comes to this Ages to Stages online screening tool. I mean, I can't speak enough to the value of that. I mean, the more people that have the power to make things happen, right, for their kids, the better outcomes they'll have.
That's awesome. That is, I 100% agree with you. That is such an important part of the story to tell. You know, we often at Brown County, we talk about the impact on our partners in really leveraging the system that we've all developed and implemented together, from getting everybody on the same page about how to do it, to getting everybody on literally using the same online platform with each other. But what you just spoke to, the impact on parents and the kids themselves, that's ultimately what's most important. That's the end game for us. That's where we start to see the increases in readiness and ultimately the outcomes that we're seeking for our young people in the community. So I really appreciate you making that point. Thank you. Well, we are the clock just switched to 9:30, so we are literally at time. Missy, anything else you want to share? Anything else that I didn't ask about that you feel like is important for everybody to know?
No, I just think one last work. I think that the work that we do matters, and it really does make a difference. And I think collectively, the more people are at the table, the better energy and a better impact you'll have in the long term. I mean, just think about all the wonderful things we could do to accomplish if we all do it together. So we appreciate our partnership. We has tremendous value for us now, before, and in the future. And we look forward to all that great work that's going to come. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We appreciate you and the partnership we have as well very much, as evidenced by everything that you talked about. So Missy, thank you so much. Everybody watching, thank you for joining us again. We will be sharing news of the next chat with Spencer, or next chats with Spencer, as we go into August here. So keep your eyes out for that. Until next time, thanks again, Missy.
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you.